Hello and welcome back to Familiar Evils. There is an update of some sort from Wizards of the Coast. I don't play much of their content anymore, at least their modern content, but I wanted to see if I had anything interesting to say and react to in this video. So let's just go ahead and get started and see what the news is of the day in this 10.5-minute video.
Welcome everybody to our roadmap update video. We announced some really awesome things at Gen Con, so this video is all about diving deeper into the things coming soon to D&D
So they're
Beyond.
diving deeper. I know I just
to be joined
had
by
a video
people way
come out
smarter than
recently
me who
talking
will
about
talk
what
in depth about things like
they
mobile
just
play
recently
mode, all the DM prep tools,
updated everybody about.
improved search, and so take it away, Laura and Zach.
So for those of you who don't pay attention to D&D news, and for some reason are getting it from me, Wizards of the Coast recently announced that they're doing 2 crossovers and bringing back one of their most popular settings, Dark Sun. So they have a World of Warcraft crossover, and I've played World of Warcraft since 2004, and I was playing Warcraft 3 before that. My dad had a PC gaming cafe, and I grew up off of video games. So Warcraft is a great love of mine, despite all the changes that have occurred to it. And then they also have Star Wars, and my fiance is a massive Star Wars nut. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get these. I'll have to look into them and see if they're actually good. They could just be absolute garbage and split apart into 15 different versions that all come out to about $100 for what used to be a normal book. But
my name is Zach.
See what they got.
I'm the product manager for Maps.
Maybe they'll
here at
answer
D&D
some
Beyond,
of my
and I'm here
questions
today to talk
here.
about some of the DM tools and other features coming to Maps VTT. So one of the next features we're releasing is called Scene Prep. It's the first in our suite of DM prep tools. There's a couple ways to use Scene Prep. One, you can write your own. We've got a format for you that we workshopped with people who literally wrote the DM guide, people who've trained hundreds of DMs before, and people who are in the middle of DMing their
I think
very
tools
first
are really
sessions.
cool.
We're going to start
I'm a big fan of
Scene
building
Prep
tools
into a lot of our other quick play maps. So we're going to be launching with a lot of the Drops weekly encounters. We're going to add Scene Prep to those to give you some story hooks, some backstories.
I'm hoping they go into detail about like what that looks like, because I'm working on my own product to help writers and through a multitude of different mediums, so script writing, book writing, and I was even thinking about adding into the tool stuff on adventure writing for dungeon masters. And so like what you put in there and how you explain things to people are incredibly important. It's one of the things that I've realized as I've been writing a lot and learning a lot is there's so many things that you're just nobody really talks to you about, unless maybe you're like in a college level course or you just spend all your time watching YouTube videos on writing like I do. So it's really going to depend on how they break it down. Like the tools are great. I'm always a big fan of tools, but it's very much in the delivery. It's how do you help the person who's using your tool understand the breakdown? At least for me, the breakdown of the steps is incredibly important. It helps me visualize the whole thing. It's a lot of what I'm going to be working on with my own tools. So I hope that they
some context,
at least explain
some
some of
read
it.
aloud text to use. And I would expect to see more Scene Prep coming to future book releases as well. Right now, in our Maps VTT,
More scene
you
prep.
can pull up a map, and soon you'll be able to add scenes to that map. We also want this to support people who don't have a map, so a Theater of the Mind encounter. You'll be able to incorporate those as well. And in the future, we want to be able to support players or DMs who don't want to use a VTT at all. Maybe you're playing fully in person, but you'd love a little bit of digital support as the DM in staying organized. So for DMs,
so they're really trying to capture the whole spectrum. It makes sense. I mean, if you can bring value to an in-person DM, that's great. One of my problems though is that they're really pushing for digital, and I don't like the way that digital rights work these days. It's been a big thing with the whole stop killing games movement, and it's the fact that when we've done this digital, especially in this, because like for us, the one difference between one really important difference between a tabletop RPG and a video game is that when you go out and you buy the physical copy of a video game, you still don't really own it. You put it in the console, You know, back in the day, it used to be your computer, but nobody does CDs for computers anymore. You know, I used to use floppy drives when I was a kid. I used to get video game CDs out of cereal boxes. I remember an Alien game. Oh man, I wish I still had that. Um, but at least with tabletop RPGs, you own the physical book. My fear with one of my fears with Wizards of the Coast is that they really just want to go to what all the video game models are doing, where they own everything and they basically get to decide whether or not you keep the stuff that you build. I read a Reddit article a while ago. Reddit's not always the pinnacle of truth, but I mean, it sounded true. I don't know. There's no, yeah. But the guy had talked about how somehow he broke TOS on D&D Beyond. That it was like some weird circumstance. I'm pretty sure he was saying like it was a misunderstanding of some sort, but they took thousands of dollars worth of his content and never gave it back. And it's like, okay, well, that guy spent thousands of dollars. He spent probably roughly the same amount of price as if he had gone to get the physical copy, but for some reason you can take it away from him. And that's my fear with this kind of stuff, with the VTT, you know, virtual tabletop, and really pushing to put everything digital, is that eventually I think what they want to do, because it makes everything so much cheaper, is to just remove the books. I don't know how that would ever be possible. I just know that's what they want to do. If they could sell everything, like, just think of it like in the perfect world of a business, what would you want? You want the lowest costs, the highest reproducibility, the highest profit margin gains, and ultimately the ability to control all of your media. With the books, you can't necessarily do that. But if you go to digital, you don't have the shipping anymore. You don't have the production. You don't have the material cost, the storage cost, the cost of getting things to the store. You don't have to share the profits with the store like the store owners don't get anything out of it. It's all right there within Wizards of the Coast. So in a perfect world, I think we all know that if Wizards of the Coast could get away with this, they would do it. The question is, do you think that they can get away with it, of moving to digital? I don't know. I mean, they basically hold a monopoly on the TTRPG space as far as the general public is concerned. You know, if I went out and I asked my fiance what Blades in the Dark was, she'd be like, I don't know. Is that a video game? Is it a movie? And I literally have the book sitting in my room, but I don't blame her. How would I, like, most people don't know these things, but everybody, if you ask them what D&D is, you ask your grandma what D&D is, she knows it. So as far as they're concerned, nobody can really compete with them if they went digital. It's like, oh, okay, well, you're going to go to Shadow Dark? Like, nobody even knows about you, practically.
You'll be able to upload your own reveals. That means if you've got your own setting or your own storyline or your own NPCs or your own puzzles, you can show those to all the players through the VTT experience. You'll also be able to upload your own stickers.
I don't think
which
I've
means
ever
you can
fully
customize the map
finished
with your own stuff.
a campaign
or if one
that
of
I
the players
didn't edit,
draws
like,
a really cool
significantly.
picture of the boat that they stole, you can make that a sticker and upload it, and they can be riding on the boat that one of the players themselves drew. And finally, the ability to replace the art on monster tokens without having to go create a whole new homebrew monster.
I mean, I like
and that
this.
means that if you
these are good
populate
updates.
a tavern full of commoners, they can all look different.
That, I mean,
or if
you
want
basically have with
to,
Roll20 already.
disguise the identity.
Which I love
of
Roll20, and I need to make more
doppelganger,
tutorials for them.
You can do that really easily. So after the scene prep feature of
Some
our
of
DM
those, so
prep tool suite,
he just mentioned how, like, you can doppelganger things. It looks like, at least the way he did that, it is easier to do certain features on D&D Beyond than it is on Roll20. There are ways to mod your Roll20 games to do a lot of these things. There's a really great YouTuber who I can't remember the name of, but basically he does nothing but Roll20 stuff, and he's taught me so much. If I can find him before I upload this video, I'll put him in a link down in the description. So if you're like a big Roll20 user, I have about like 4,000 or 5,000 hours of time on Roll20, and that guy has taught me so much. And there's so many cool things you can do in that. And if you all want me to start doing some tutorials on, like, dynamic lighting, map creation, and stuff like that for Roll20, comment down below if you really want to see something like that, if you think that would be useful to you. I don't know how many people really do that. I know there are people. Obviously, I'm talking about the guy who just told me basically everything I know about Roll20. But yeah, if you want to see that kind of content, let me know.
Launches. The next thing we're going to work on is the ability to save or bookmark certain things with your scenes, in addition to just the text that helps you prepare them. So that's things like saving reveals and tagging them to a certain scene. It's like saving items or objects that you might want to
I
then
want to go back and
on is the ability
like re-listen to what he just said there, because I don't think I caught something, and it sounds like this could be really cool.
to save or bookmark certain things with your scenes, in addition to just the text that helps you prepare them. So that's things like saving reveals and tagging them to a certain scene. It's like saving items or objects that you might want to then give to the players, or loot and rewards, a couple other categories of things as well. So that'll be the next addition to DM prep, is the ability to save certain things and prep them as part of your scene prep. Here at D&D Beyond.
Okay, that is really cool. So like, if I were to suggest things to somebody when creating tools for DMs, really what the tool is supposed to do is work to reduce as much of the dungeon master mental workload. One of the things that always was really difficult for me as a dungeon master was that I would have all these great ideas, and like when I was going to put on a certain music, when I was going to reveal this, and you've got like a billion things going on in your head, and you've got like 4, 5, 6 players all pestering you about one thing or another that they want to do, and you're thinking, as they're talking to you, you're thinking, oh well, that person, that player over there hasn't talked for like 45 minutes, and I want to try to get them back into the game, and so all this crap's going on, and it's things like that where it's like these reveals and these moments that you really wanted to do as a DM that were really cool, they get washed over in the just tumult of running the actual game. So if there's a way to help the DM catch on to things and like warn them when something is coming up, I would almost feel like it would be great if there was just a button for a DM to be like, all right, I'm moving on to the next, this part. You just click it as you go through scene to scene. And it's a little difficult because D&D is so open-ended, but just something like sit there and remind you, like, boop, oh, like, yeah, this is a moment. This is an important moment. I made this thing for this moment, and I need to bring this in. I mean, you can still bring these things in later on if you have a good enough imagination. You can like just hammer it in there, but being able to do these things purposely does increase the effectiveness of it if you know how to prep certain reveals.
We love maps.
So I like this.
It's a great product. It's a great tool, but also sometimes we don't use it. When I'm playing in person, it's a great tool.
Hey, anybody know what this is? Anybody know what this is? There we go. I've made a map just like this. You may have seen it. It's actually one of my slightly more popular videos. Didn't get it done. But this is Baldur's Gate 3's crypt. This is where you meet withers. I should also link down in the bottom. If I don't end up remembering to put it in there, you can also find a video where I actually play on the map with a friend, and you can find this exact map, my version of it that I did through Roll20 there. I actually think mine looks a lot better. Just saying. Maybe it's a little mean of, I don't know, not mean, it's pig-headed of me to think that my map looks better, but I just feel like it just looks so crisp. It's one of my best maps ever. So go check it out.
Also, sometimes we don't use it. When I'm playing in person, sometimes
but that
I want to
may
play
mean
with a physical map and some physical...
Sorry, I keep pausing. But what would be really cool actually is if they brought all those maps in. I don't think I could get away with recreating theirs. I do want to recreate a bunch of the Baldur's Gate 3 maps. I know somebody in another one of my comment sections had talked about how he wants to run a campaign using all the Baldur's Gate 3 maps. And he's like, there's just none out there. And I'm like, well, thinking, no crap, they're hard to make. Some of them are huge. The time it takes to even like make that, I didn't even make the whole crypts. I just made that section, and I should go back and finish the other sections because it wouldn't be that difficult. It's not that big, but still, it took me a while. And so I'm like, I was going to go and remake the Druid's Grove, and the Druid's Grove is, oh my God, it's huge. And you think of like Shar's Temple. my God, Shar's Temple is massive. How long would it take to do that? And like the way the levels of it work, how would you map that out? And then how do you, like, the maps as you get online, they don't oftentimes do it in those levels. So like, when you go down after the Gauntlet of Shar, you don't have like a good map overview to use when you data mine things because it's underneath the other part of the map, as far as I know. So like, accurately doing these things, for me, I'm very big on accuracy. Doing that is really difficult, but like, it would be really cool if they do all those maps, because a lot of people would probably be very pleased to have access to the entirety of Baldur's Gate 3 maps. The question is whether or not you have access to it on other platforms than just Roll20, which I guarantee you, I don't know much about Roll20 and its policies, but I'm almost certain you can't just rip maps out of there as PNG or JPEG files for other things. So, which mine can be, and you can use them anywhere. You can print them. So
Minis.
go check that out.
But also, I often really still want the digital tools and digital support that comes with all the DM tools we've built into maps. So one of the things we're going to be doing towards the end of this year and definitely deep into next year is lifting a lot of the DM tools that are built into maps right now out of maps as well. So if you want to use a VTT, awesome, we've got all these great tools. If you want to play in person or you want to play with a different VTT, you can still use all of our DM prep tools any way you want to play.
Okay, well, you can still use the prep tools. That's fine, but like, can you use the maps? That's what I really want to know.
Requests that we've gotten,
but they really want to just
to
capture as many
restrict
people
what
as
sources
possible.
Your players can use when they're creating their characters for a campaign. So we're going to go reimagine the campaign creation experience.
What D&D Beyond really has is the UI. The UI is really nice.
If you're
but I've never really
off
personally
a new
liked
campaign
D&D
in
Beyond.
Ravenloft,
I just never.
You don't have one of your players showing up with
I feel like
some
it
sort of ray
limits
gun
me.
from a Spelljammer sort of setting. That means, ideally, less work for you as the DM in policing what sources your players' characters, all the components of it came from. If you only want to allow a single source, you can do that. If you only want to allow a handful of sources, you can do that. And now you don't need to worry about them pulling in feats or subclasses from all sorts of things that just don't fit the vibe that you're trying.
This is something you should be taking care of in session 0. If you have players who are going about and pulling things without your permission, one of two things happened. Either you didn't tell them explicitly what they are and are not supposed to be using, or you did and they are going over you anyways, which I think is a red flag and is incredibly rude and is something that you would have to talk to your player about. If they're going over your head to use other 5th edition material or just other material in general, that's a problem. But that's generally something you want to take care of in session 0. So it's nice to just like streamline things, and that's great. And if you want to abuse yourself and play with players who you can't trust, then this is nice, because then you don't have to worry about whether you trust them or not. But it just seems like it's not particularly necessary if you are taking your precautions and having a session 0 where you're like, these things are allowed, these things are allowed, and if you want anything else, you need to ask me first. Is kind of how you deal with that. So it's whatever.
Trying to create for your campaign. Scene prep is coming really soon. We're almost done. We're just putting the finishing touches on it. The final phase of journals is also coming soon. We just released player journals, so now everyone has access to it, players and DMs, and soon we'll release collaborative editing for player journals. We also just released our first run of condition tracking, and coming up soon is the ability to add custom conditions to your condition tracking system, both on maps and in the character sheet. If you ever have questions or feedback for me about maps, you can find me on our subreddit, D&D Beyond. I'm Watsy_Zach, and you can also find me on our official D&D Beyond Discord channel.
Hi, I'm Laura Thompson. I'm an engineering manager here with D&D Beyond, and we're working on backend stuff, mostly. Game platform, driving, mobile applications, search, and some really fun things we want to talk about today. My part is the backend. That's the part that I'm really passionate about. And so we started from scratch. We're looking at some of the tools that we can get in the cloud providers. It's a NoSQL database, first of all. We're using a pattern called Entity Component System Framework that you may see in some of the larger video games. We're not using it the way a video game would, though. We're specifically using it for composition so that you can have pieces that stick together. One of the examples that I've been talking about was, as we were explaining this to our stakeholders, is we want to be able to have a component, if you will, on one of these entities that is inventory. You can put things in it, you can take things out of it. Basic component. And then we might put that on a chest. And so now you have a chest with inventory. And then another component might be an image, a sticker, something that can go on a map. Now you have an image of a chest that you can put on a map that has things in it. And another component that we could add to it might be health. So it has perhaps an armor class and some hit points and maybe some saving throws. And now you
This
have
is
a
another
chest
thing you can do on
that has
Roll20
things
with
in it
mods.
that can go on a map that can be destroyed. And finally, we can give it attacks and behaviors so that when a person gets close to it, it has the ability to make an attack roll or cause a trap to function. And now you have a mimic. The first thing with this app,
That does seem interesting if you can get things to automatically trigger, which would really help at making your players not move their tokens a whole bunch through like 15 rooms all at once, which essentially just reveals everything to them. It's also like one of the difficult parts I have with traps is running traps. Running traps feels really boring to me. It's like, do I tell them to roll investigation or perception before they run into this room? Do I just retroactively punish them as they run through and say, well, you tripped 15 traps because you didn't stop and tell me whether you want to do perception or investigation, which inevitably leads to this situation where people are always saying, I roll for perception or investigation when I walk into this next room. I check this door and I look at the keyhole. All right, I'm going to roll it. I got a 20. Is there a trap there? No. I don't know. I'm going to be real careful about this. And it's like, okay, well, now the whole freaking game has come grinding to a halt, and it's all over these details. And I don't often run traps just because I find them to be so incredibly boring to run and just end up turning the game into this grind of, I check for traps. But they seem so cool. And maybe if you have any like ways that you run traps that have worked for you, please tell me down below, because I would love to run them. But I don't know. It's one of those things that I'm just weak at as a DM, is I've never cared to run them. I just keep them out for the most part.
It's really focused on players. But the thing that I think is what DMs are going to love about this is that it helps keep the players in the moment. One of the things that can be really disruptive in hybrid play is when you have all of these devices around the table and people dive deep into it. They go onto the web, they go surfing through their character, they look in the rules. And while those are great things to do, we wanted to give something that would allow you to stay in the moment and play your character with your favorite features and favorite options without having to break that engagement. The first release isn't going to be as connected to the
So
online
it sounds like they're giving like even
in-person,
players
like
just
I
like the
mentioned.
ability to have a
first release is
toolbar,
all about in-person
which is
play
interesting,
and
because
being
one of the most
connected there.
difficult things about a lot of players is, like, as many of you DMs may have noticed this, but you get to them and they just flounder. They don't know what to do, and it just kind of, it blows my mind, because as a player, I'm just like always there. I'm always thinking about what I'm going to do on the next turn, and I'm always ready to do my next turn. Maybe it's because I don't play very often. But I'm always strategizing. And then you get to these other people who just, they don't even know what's in their options. So it's like, for a lot of newer players, that would be nice if they just had like an action bar. It'd be kind of cool, because then it would give them a series of things that they could do.
As we look at later releases, this is part of this entire game platform ecosystem. So as you're playing in the VTT or in a campaign with your DM, it interacts with the platform just like anything else. So you'll roll dice and they show up in the game log. Your DM is able to interact with your character sheet and control some of the content that you use when building that character. It's a full-fledged partner with the existing ecosystem. We just took a look at what was the thing that was preventing players from getting at the rules they wanted. How could we help them get there better? And so as we were digging into what the barriers were, we found that the biggest barrier was search. And as we were looking at search, we realized that when it was originally conceived, it was state of the art. It was fantastic. But as the rest of the site evolved, it kind of stayed frozen in time and hasn't received as much love as some of the other areas. So we started looking at what could we do to make that better. And we found that there are a lot of really, really, really bad ways to spell shield and grapple and fire bold and things like that that were causing players to hit our search not found page way more than they should have. So we started introducing some new ideas how we could correct this, lifting it up to modern standards.
Like firebolt, rather than putting it as one word, I put it as two sometimes. Like, oh yeah.
Provided autocomplete for it. That lexicon includes things like it knows what a PHB is and that it's not a peanut butter sandwich. We added autocomplete to help you find those words a little bit faster. One of the things that takes you out of the immersion of the game is when you get distracted by diving into a website and you can't find the thing you're looking for and the game is paused and everybody's waiting for you. Nobody has any fun when that's happening. So I think that's what the benefit is for DMs. Telling these stories, listening to these cool things that people are saying, and find the things that they need in the moment that they need them. So I'm really excited about all of the things that we're doing with the game platform, and one of the things that I really value is connecting with fans and thinking about hearing what they want from us and being able to share things that as they become available. So Discord's a great place to find me.
I mean, if they just focus on like common problems and how to make them easier, it's a really simple way to produce things that people value.
Feel free to ping me. I may not be
It
able to
doesn't
give
take
you
much
the answer
creative
that you want,
need.
but I'll
Like,
give you
it
the
doesn't
answer
need
that
much
you want.
creativity to do that.
Well, thank you, Zach
So it's
and Laura,
effective.
for that
So
awesome
I think that's one of the
run-through
things
of
that
the features
Wizards of the
coming
Coast really
for
fails
the
at
new
these
mobile
days.
play
is-
mode, game
I don't know, maybe it's
platform,
pretentious to
DM
me to say,
tools.
but their ability to
That
write
is what we have
is-
planned for the next few months. We are so excited to get all of these things in your hands as
So,
quickly as
focus on the
possible.
things where you can win.
You tell us what you think. We iterate from there. That has been, I think, working out pretty well for us and for the community. So we want to keep doing that, keep getting your feedback, keep getting better, and we really
No, this
appreciate
is the
you
end.
being on this journey with us.
Okay, well, I was kind of hoping that they would have talked about their new crossovers a bit more. They kind of just announced them. So, I mean, it's interesting to see more about the VTT. I think this is really kind of an advertisement for come do our digital stuff, please come to our digital stuff, because it's the way that they're going to capture more and more people. And if they can control your content through this, like, that's great. I mean, there's plenty of people who are already on there, and if you don't care about that, you don't care about that. Like, it's whatever. I'm just personally, I don't want to do D&D Beyond in general, not only because I'm not a big fan of the way it formats things and like the level of customization, I don't know, didn't seem very good to me. I don't like the formats of the character sheets. There's something about the simplicity of Roll20's, just Roll20 is very direct in front of you, but it's like everything else, it takes a bit of learning to do. But when you learn it, it's so customizable and so much deeper that the time put into learning Roll20 brings me more value and satisfaction than running things on D&D Beyond, especially because I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't own my content on there either. I really wouldn't be surprised, but it seems at least a world, like one degree of separation away from WotC extra to have it on Roll20. I may be wrong. You can comment down below and call me an idiot. That's fine. Yeah. I mean, I found this interesting. I would like to see more on their actual like crossovers and products. But I mean, focus on the basics. Like I said, I think a lot of these are basics that you can do where you don't need a team of people who are brilliant writers. It's just like, well, what can we just brainstorm some things that people commonly have issues with? And this would be it. Like remembering when to do things, knowing that players have access only to the things that you want them to have access to, like the tokens being able to be changed, That's a nice little thing. Putting items into chests and on monsters and little notes and stuff, like that's really cool and keeps you in the moment. The idea of people being able to trip traps just by running forward is great, because it does slow down people a little bit, which is, it's this balance, right? Because I just got done talking about how traps slowed things down too much, and that is always the threat there, is whether or not it's going to slow it down enough to where your players aren't just trying to rush through every single room so that they can get to the content. I mean, the whole game's supposed to be the content. But it's one of those things, like, I mean, once again, if you have a way to run traps, please tell me, because God, they are just a nightmare to me. But I mean, I guess that's really that's all I have to say about this. Kind of overall, yeah, I mean, that's okay. I'm not like super excited. It's nothing I'm going to use personally. But for those of you who use D&D Beyond, it definitely has its bonuses. I would just warn that they are trying to bring everybody into a walled garden. They are trying to do that. If you're okay with that, you're okay with that. But just know that what they really want is that you are there on that site, and every time that they produce something, that's where you get it, because they have complete and utter control over it, and it's the least expensive version that they can produce. So they have, obviously, as a corporation, as every corporation does, they have their own monetary interest at hand. Just note that they can take it away from you, and they have almost certainly, as far as I know, I may be wrong, allegedly, they took thousands of dollars of this guy's stuff. If any of you know stories like that, comment down below with that as well, because I think it's good for people to know what kind of deal that they're making when they go on these digital options, because TTRPGs are one of the few game spaces left where you can just go buy that physical book and you have access to it. WotC can't walk into your house and steal your book and then run off with it. They can't do that, but they can do it digital. So just know what you're buying. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for coming to join me on Familiar Evils. You'll be hearing more from me eventually. I know I haven't been creating a lot of content. I'm writing a book right now with my dad. I'm trying to get it done. I'm in the last few draft phases or revision phases of this book. And when I'm done, I'm going to start a series that I'm very excited for. I don't know how quickly it's going to move along, because it takes quite a bit of effort to put together, but I hope you will all like it. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. Thank you once again, and you have a wonderful day. This has been Familiar Evils. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace!